Good morning, everybody. This is Heather Petherick, the Career Freedom Coach for Women. This is Periscope number 3 this week that I'm doing about career freedom. What is it, and how do we get it? So far this week, I have scoped about the definition of career freedom and how it involves not just the time to do what you want, but also being paid handsomely for what you do, so you don't have to worry about the financial aspects, having financial freedom. And the third piece is meaning, having meaning in the work that you do and the freedom to do work that you love. So with that, today I'm going to be talking about the second piece that you need to master to achieve career freedom. Thank you for the hearts, you guys. I love it. Actually, as a side note, if you've been watching since Monday, my original goal was to get 1,000 hearts from you guys, and you have totally blown my mind this week. I'm already at, I think, close to 1,500 hearts. So you know what? Let's open the floodgates. Let's keep pouring that love, those high vibes, those feelings of gratitude and joy amongst each other. Thank you so much. Yeah, keep it going. Okay, and we'll see how many hearts we can actually get to by Friday. Awesome. Thanks. Great to see you, Lynn. Okay, so back to what I was saying about career freedom. It involves the time, the money, and the meaning piece in your career, and having the freedom to have all of those boxes checked. Now, what I'm sharing with you today is that second piece that you need to master on your way to achieve career freedom. And what I started talking about yesterday was the first thing you need to master is awareness. You gotta have awareness about who you are and how you are most naturally to be able to find career freedom and move your life and professional life to a place where you have the freedom that you so crave. So, yesterday in awareness, I talked about knowing your personality inside out and knowing your natural talents, those strengths, those God-given things that you're just fabulous at. You have got to know in your bones at the granular level who you are and how you work most naturally. The second or third piece to this awareness is meaning. You've got to know what sense of meaning you want to get out of work. Now, for a lot of people, when I talk about meaning, they've heard things like, you need to know what you're passionate about. You need to know your calling. What's your purpose? And you know, those labels I find tend to freak people out, right? Like, if I don't know what my purpose or my calling is, then somehow I must be like damaged goods. I must not know what I'm doing, right? Thank you for the hearts. Can you give advice for depression? You know what? I'm not going to be talking about depression today. So what is it about awareness and knowing what kind of work lights you up? So I'm going to give you some really cool, actually 3 ways that you can start to talk about what is meaningful work for you. So if you do feel freaked out that you don't know what your purpose is, you don't have this deep burning sense of calling in your life, then I'm going to give you some ways to start to discover it. Okay, so the first one you can start to think about is what gives you energy, right? What are the activities in life, the tasks, the functions that you can get involved in that you have this insatiable desire to do, and even though physically you might be drained after doing them, you're left with this feeling of energy, of feeling fueled up, somehow more satisfied about it. And actually, if you want a great resource to learn more about this, is The Strengths Finder by Marcus Buckingham. I'm going to give him some credit here. He's got a book out about the Strengths Finder. There's an assessment about it. It's a great read if you're trying to get in touch with these types of activities and types of work that really light you up, that give you that natural boost, where you feel in the zone. Another quality about that you can feel or sense is that you get in the zone, right? Like athletes do. They feel like, time escapes them. They lose track of time. They get in the zone. If you ever have felt that way in your life, that's a clue that life is giving you, that there's something meaningful, there's something about that activity, that task, maybe it's an interaction with people you have that gives you that vibe. You need to look more closely at what that is and start to identify, the qualities of that interaction. Is it with a particular type of person? Is it around a particular topic? Or is it a process that you follow in that moment that just lights you up? So that's the first way you can start to get a sense of what is work that's most meaningful for you. Is what gives you energy, and where do you lose? You know what? There's some people I'm gonna actually have to block on our viewers, because there's some trolls out there, guys. Anyway, so getting back to work that lights you up. I'm going to give you actually an example of a client that I've worked with on how she used this particular way of looking for things that give you energy to find the work that's most meaningful to her. So a couple years ago, I worked with this individual. She was a litigation lawyer, and her specialty was lawsuits around insurance, personal injury. And her job was to look at the different nuances of these situations, different people's motivations, and work through these cases. And after, 15 years of, I think, doing this kind of work, she was at a point in her career where she realized it was time to do something more meaningful. She was tired, she was a little bit burnt out, and she wanted something that had more heart for her. And actually, she admitted during our coaching that even shortly after she got into law, that she realized that it was great work. There's lots of prestige. People were really impressed with her work. But for her personally, there wasn't always that sense of deep meaning and satisfaction. So in our work, one of the things we talked about was, when were those moments in her life when she felt that sense of energy and that great vibe where she lost track of time. And we started to look at activities that she did actually in her childhood. And that actually happens a lot for people, that we're naturally engaged in activities as children that are meaningful to us, that give us that sense of energy and replenishment, because the do's and don'ts of adulthood aren't dampening that self-expression yet. And so for her, we talked about activities that she did as a child. And for her, she recalled, actually, she was a big Nancy Drew fan, the young mystery solving girl. And she would actually go out into her family's yard and reenact these mysteries, or she would create these mysteries that she had to solve. She would pick up clues of, footprints or leaf litter, and try to figure out where creatures had gone, or where they had been, how long ago they had been there, and retracing their steps. And actually, after some work about this, she realized that for her, it was solving that mystery that gave her that sense of energy and vibe. And it was a coming together of what she thought was really cool and who she was. And by a really neat coincidence, at the same time we were doing coaching, there was some news that hit, and it was about provenance research, which, if you don't know what that is, it is the chronology of, or researching the chronology of ownership of different artifacts that maybe have removed or stolen or taken away from different groups, individuals, through war, revolution, or simply theft. And it's the research of where these artifacts have gone, who they rightfully belong to. And suddenly she had this aha moment that her as a little girl recreating and solving these mysteries, Nancy Drew types, and doing provenance research was this perfect alignment of who she is and what lights her up. And another great coincidence is that her career as a litigation lawyer was a perfect sounding board or leaping point to get into that type of research. And so now she's doing work that absolutely lights her up. She is off the scale for career freedom, financial freedom, meaning, time, and money. Fantastic. So there's an example of how looking back in your own childhood and some of the funny things you used to do as a kid that captured your interest can actually have the clues you need to identify today as an adult what continues to light you up. Okay, another way that you can figure out what you're passionate about or what is most meaningful to you is to look at what I call life's prep school. Now, each of us has had certain experiences, and they may be good or they may be bad. Some of them may be really positive, some of them may be really painful. But no matter what, everything you've done, everything you've lived through up to this point, everything you've learned has prepared you uniquely to do some work in the world. And chances are, whatever lessons you've learned through that, you are uniquely qualified to help other people that are maybe in similar situations or facing similar struggles. So this is about life's prep school. What has life prepared you to do? What experiences have most shaped who you are, and how does that prepare you to benefit, serve, and work with other people? So that's something you can look at. A third way that you can begin to identify what work is most meaningful to you is something I call destiny experiences. And I've got a good example, a personal example about this one to share with you. So destiny experiences, this is looking back in your life and thinking about these brief moments when something about an interaction or experience for you stuck with you. Maybe it had a real sense of meaning for you. Maybe it stuck with you in your mind because there was some external confirmation of what you were doing. Often you were recognized for doing really good or having made a difference to someone else. Or maybe it was just that private recognition that you're like, holy shit, I really rocked that. Like that for me was awesome. And the thing is that with these destiny moments, they're usually quite brief. It can just be a fleeting interaction, a singular moment in your life. It's not something that's going to go on for weeks or days or even hours sometimes. It's a single snap moment where all these things come together for you and you're like, that was cool. I don't know what it was, but something about that was cool for me. So think about specific discrete events or experiences, a moment in time where the lights went on for you. So here's my example of my own destiny moment and how I began to have awareness around what work was really meaningful for me. So this was way back when I was in my undergrad degree, and in the spring semesters, as a student, you're busy in the computer lab. Actually, yes, that's how long ago it was. We actually had computer labs because nobody had, desktops at home. But you're in your computer lab and you're preparing resumes and cover letters for the coming season of student summer jobs. And I had a buddy of mine who was really struggling. Fantastic guy, lots of enthusiasm, lots of skills, but he just was having such a hard time figuring out his resume and getting some cover letters written off. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to help my friend because for some reason this is just coming easily to me. And so I sat with him for a few minutes, talked to him about what he wanted to do, what kind of work he thought would be really rewarding for the summer. And in no time at all, we had this great resume, this smoking hot cover letter, and he went on to get like 3 different job offers from that single document that I helped him with. And when I thought back about that, something about that conversation at that time with that person, for me, it always stuck with me as something that, hey, I was really good at that, and that was fun for me, and man, did it ever help my friend out. And I kind of forgot about it for a few years, as you get busy with your own life. And then, but later on, it kept popping up as I realized, my career wasn't working out really well. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I started thinking about, well, what are those moments in my life when the lights have really turned on for me? And that was one of them. It actually realizing that moment in time, that interaction, something about it stuck with me. And when I went back and thought about that, how that interaction made me feel, what it meant to that person, and what difference that I had made, that awareness opened up the whole field of career development, navigation, recruiting, career coaching, all of that. That was the catalyst for me when I recalled that single moment. And that's actually was the reason that I started to look at this field of work, because something about talking to people about their careers, what they want, what they desire, who they are, and making it all fit, that's me. That was my destiny moment. So there you go. There's a great example. So those are the 3 different ways that you can begin to peel back an awareness around what work is truly meaningful for you. What gives you energy? What puts you in the zone? What has life uniquely prepared you to do? And what are those unique destiny moments, those little clues that life's giving you about what lights you up and what you're uniquely prepared to do? So, stepping back a little bit in this scope about building this awareness. Remember, it's about building awareness around who you are in terms of your personality, your talents, and what work is most meaningful to you. When you have got awareness, a deep, granular level awareness around those 3 elements of who you are, that opens up the door for you in terms of now you know where to move your career to get the time, the money, and the meaning freedom that we're all so dying to have. When you know what your personality is, your talents, and what work is meaningful to you, then you know where to move your career, what direction. You're no longer struggling, job hopping, aimlessly working, doing jobs that you can do, but aren't really loving. And instead, you can start to find work that really lights you up, that is a coming together and an alignment of who you are, how you are, and what's meaningful to you. So that's the first thing you have to master on the journey to career freedom is awareness, okay? Awareness around who you are, personality, talents, and meaning. Got it? Great. Okay. So I've shown you 3 ways in this scope about how to excavate the truth about work that is most meaningful to you. And in our next scope, I'm going to be talking about the second thing that you need to master on the way to career freedom, which is attitude. You have got to master your attitude, which includes not blaming yourself anymore for whatever career shame or disappointment you are experiencing, and really owning your career. Okay? So thank you so much, you guys, for sharing those hearts. I love them. I love them. I love them. I feel your good vibes, and that's what keeps me going here. Thank you for your hearts. I also want to encourage you to share. If you love this scope, or if you know someone that could benefit from this scope, go ahead and share it with your Twitter peeps, by all means. Post it to your Facebook peeps, whatever. And if you're interested in getting more information about what I do and how I work with clients, you can go to my website, which is heatherpetherick.com. And you can find all about who I work with, how I work with them, and yeah, all that good stuff. So thanks again, you guys, for joining me on this scope. I'll see you again tomorrow when we talk about the second critical thing you have to master, which is attitude. Thanks so much.